So we are going to go ahead and get started. Welcome, everyone. My name is Elizabeth Aloni, and I'm with Schneps Media, the parent company of New York Family. We're excited today to present the Learn About Great Day Camps for Staten Island Families. Let me tell you a little bit about Schneps Media. We are the largest media company in the local New York metro area. We publish over 80 newspapers, magazines, websites, webinars, podcasts, and events throughout Queens, Brooklyn, Manhattan, the Bronx, Staten Island, Westchester, Long Island, the East End, Philadelphia, and now Palm Beach, Florida. And today we have some wonderful experts, all from great day camps in Staten Island. You know, finding the right camp for your child this summer can be a daunting task. So New York Family is thrilled to be able to help you by introducing you to these 3 wonderful day camps today. And they're going to introduce you to their camps and tell you about the fun options in store for your child's summer. So let me get started with introducing them right now. First, I'd like to introduce you to Chris Igneri of Young People's Day Camp. Welcome, Chris.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for having us, Elizabeth.
Absolutely, our pleasure. Next, please say hello to Glenn Wexler of the JCC of Staten Island. Welcome, Glenn.
Welcome. Thank you.
And last but not least is Tim Ling of Camp Halfblood. Hi, Tim.
Hey there. Thank you for having us, and really excited to dig into our summer camps.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, these 3 gentlemen are going to walk us through some spectacular options for your children. So I wanted to get off started by giving our parents some idea about what should they focus on when they're looking for a day camp for their children. Tim, you want to get started with that answer?
Yeah, absolutely. I think fundamentally it comes down to really caring and attentive staff. That's a huge thing to focus on. It's something that when I was a kid going to summer camps, the reason my parents kept coming back to the camps that we attended, me and my brothers as kids, is the staff who really sit down, care, make sure that no matter what, the variety of activities are, kids always have somebody to go to, maybe a friend that they can lean on in their counselors, in their directors, and all the supporting staff. And that's something that we really pay attention to in training, is making sure that our staff are well-versed in a variety of tools and techniques to make sure that every kid is having fun, no matter what their interests really align with in terms of the programming and the curriculum.
Well, that's great advice. Great advice. Glenn, what would you say that parents should focus on when looking at their day camps?
Yeah, so initially I would certainly agree with what Tim said, that what makes camp a magical place is really the staff. And that's really the ultimate factor. Just to build on it, I would probably add the leadership. So maybe a subset within the staffing, the leadership as well, because camp, like any organization, the leadership of it ultimately creates the vision for the camp and the ethos of the camp. So going along with what Tim said, I would say staffing and the subset, the leadership within the staffing.
Great. 2 very important things, sure. Chris, what can you share with us that parents should look for?
Well, leadership and staff are always extremely important. You want them to be qualified, attentive, caring, and compassionate. One thing I always tell families that come to us is you want to send your children to a place where they're going to come home happy every day. You want them to really enjoy the experience of the summer, not be somewhere that they dislike, and somewhere that it's a break from school. We also, and I think the other panelists will agree, that happiness and safety is extremely important for all of our kids. We all treat the campers like they're our own children. And for me, I have my own 2 children in camp. They're 4 and 5 years old. So all of those factors are things that, I tell the families that come visit us all the time.
That's wonderful. Yeah, certainly parents want to know their children are safe. So, we all know that camp can be fun and something to do in the summer. But what are some of the benefits of sending your child to day camp? Chris, why don't you start with that one?
The social aspect of summer camp alone is tremendous, especially coming off the last 2 years in New York City, where children did not have an ideal schooling situation. Kids get to be themselves again. So the social growth and testimonials from families that said in the 2 months that they were with us, they grew exponentially socially. Aside from socially, they get to experience a variety of new activities. So they, instead of being stuck on a tablet or a computer or a video game, they may take up an interest in sports or arts and crafts, rock climbing, archery, any number of activities that summer camps offer. And the experience is it's so different for them, and it's so beneficial.
Fantastic. I know I have kids that have gone to camp, and let me tell you, just getting them off their screens is an amazing feat. So I hear you. Thank you for sharing that. Glenn, what can you share with us about some of the benefits of sending your child to day camp?
Yeah, thank you. I think Chris hit on some very important points. I would agree with him as well that socialization is critical. I think as Chris mentioned, the last couple of summers in particular, it really was brought home as kids kind of were struggling through COVID. And fortunately, we were able to operate camp the last 2 summers. You really saw how the children were craving socialization, even more so than usual. So I certainly agree with that. And the idea of exploration and trying new things in a safe and nurturing environment, I would add that as well.
Tim.
Yeah, definitely going to echo the first 2 comments. But also an emphasis on, depending on the type of program, just more time outdoors, more time in the sun, more time in natural environments. And then within that socialization aspect, which is really key, kids get an opportunity to break from their normal social scenes within just their school setting or maybe their sports teams and interact with, brand new people. And, through play, through teamwork and collaborative sort of like problem solving, in the activities presented to them at summer camps, really new opportunities to develop new skills. And just like you guys said, try activities that maybe you've never been exposed to before, really break out of your comfort zone, which can, carry on for the rest of their lives, really.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So one of the things that I always love to hear about is diving deep into your camps and learning about what makes your camp unique. So Tim, why don't you get started with about Camp Halfblood and how it's so unique?
Sure, yeah, and just in the lobby here getting ready, you commented on the name, which is very unique. So I guess I'll start there. The name Camp Halfblood is, it's very out there, it's a little intimidating, but it's really derived from a young adult sort of fantasy book series, the Percy Jackson book series, which is sort of the genesis of our summer camps. And in this fictional universe that an author has created, essentially magic is real, ancient Greek, Egyptian, and Norse gods are real, and there's a dedicated summer camp to kids of those deities like Poseidon and Athena and Hermes. So they're half mortal, half god, and hence the name Camp Halfblood. How we've taken that is really try to create a summer camp environment that is really immersed in that storytelling world and sort of operates in this in between of immersive theater and a traditional day camp. So we have your standard array of regular day camp activities. We go on nature hikes, play dodgeball, etc. But where we differ is that all of that feeds into this narrative and this immersive world of magical realism, so to speak, that we present to the kids. And the whole goal of the camp and its function, both in that fictional universe and for us, is to train kids how to be heroic, how to learn from ancient heroes from mythology like Hercules, Perseus, and Theseus, because monsters are real and they're out there. And when we say monsters, we really mean actors that we eventually place in the park later on in the week. But every week at Camp Halfblood, there's a quest, and kids have to use all the skills that they've learned, take along potions that they've made in potions class, bring their little, protective charms, and also use their foam swords. Every kid that comes to camp gets a foam sword. We teach them how to play safely with them. It's one of our sort of primary sports at camp, so to speak. But all of those skills combined, and the teamwork, the bravery, the creative thinking that they need and develop in those games throughout the week, all come to the forefront for our quest adventures, which are a hike mixed with immersive theater. It's almost like a video game come to life, where the kids get to really be the hero of their own story. And underneath all of this, it's really a way for creating an opportunity for kids to engage with stories from classical mythology, not just from Greek, but from around the world: Egyptian, Norse, West African, East Asian stories and mythology, both to give them exposure, but also to help them connect with those stories and promote a love for it that then generates, self-interest in reading and literature, but not in a traditional English class sort of methodology where it's like, read a book, write a report. Our thinking is, why not make the stories real, especially the fun, fantasy mythology stories. And once they're real for the kids and they get a way to interact with them, they fall in love with it. And we get a lot of feedback from parents who are like, 1 week at your camp and now my kid won't stop asking me to buy books, which is a great problem to have, but they're becoming a little know-it-all about all these ancient Greek gods.
Fantastic. Very unique way about thinking about camp. And I think, becoming heroes and overcoming monsters is something we all do every day in our lives, right? They just not called monsters.
Absolutely.
They're called obstacles.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about how the camp is structured. So is it a 5-day-a-week camp? Can people go for 1 week? Is it 6 weeks? Tell me a little bit about the details of the camp.
Yeah, great question. We are a day camp, so drop off and pick up every day. We operate out of public parks. For Staten Island, we are going to be in, let me just look it up real quick, Clove Lakes Park, which is just south of the Staten Island Zoo, a little bit west of the Silver Lake Golf Course. Each session is 1 week, so 5 days long. Drop off 9 a.m., pick up 4 p.m. And then throughout the day, kids, we start every day with what we call morning muster. We get the kids together. We tell them, what they can expect for the rest of the day. And then we kick off with our activities. Usually sword circle is our first activity where kids get to, practice their sword skills, then move on to other games like dodgeball. Sometimes we do what we call like stealth games, which teach them the sort of stealthy skills that they're going to need to, circumnavigate monsters later on in their quest. And then we have dedicated specialty classes kids actually get to pick out for themselves. So if they want to learn, we call it scouting, but it's really, learning map and compass skills, some more skills on the fantasy side, which are really almost immersive theater, learning how to create potions, which functions almost like a cooking class, so to speak, but mixed with sort of scavenger hunt elements, all that feed into, like I said, building those skills for the quest. And later on in the week, we also have Olympic Games where each group gets to, head-to-head compete in some games. And throughout the day, we'll sprinkle in maybe an actor will visit camp as a god who delivers a prophecy for the kids to decipher. Almost like an escape room, lots of puzzles and clues to the adventure ahead that we drop in each day of the week at some moment, some form or another. And that takes a lot of different sort of mediums. Sometimes we'll place speakers in the woods and have, this sort of disembodied voice or music come out and the kids get to interact with it in that way.
Very interesting. And what age do you expect children?
Yeah, so we go by grade rather than age. So rising second graders in our Camp Halfblood program, and all the way up to rising sixth graders. And then we have a middle school program called Camp Jupiter, which focuses on Roman mythology. We've got like the Greeks and Romans. It's part of that sort of fictional lore universe that we derive our camps from. And the middle school program, which I created, has more of an emphasis on STEM design and build projects, still using all the same, core curriculum of Camp Half-Blood, but kind of elevating it. But some of my favorite parts of that is that we've built, catapults and trebuchets and things that ancient Roman, artillery, but breaking it down and teaching physics and design and build skills through the creation of those. And that program, Camp Jupiter, that is for rising sixth graders all the way up to, when they're leaving middle school. So 8th grade into 9th grade.
Terrific. Thank you. Wow. Sounds like a very interesting camp for sure. Lots of unique things that are going on. Thank you
Yeah.
for that. So I'd like to
You're
hear,
welcome.
thank you. Glenn, I would love to hear about the JCC of Staten Island and what makes your camp unique?
Yes, so I guess two words that come to mind are tradition and traditional. In the word tradition, I mean that we have a long history. We've been operating for, I would say, about 80 years, and it's not uncommon. In fact, it's quite common to have. I haven't quite seen four generations of families there, but three generations is quite common. And families will often approach me about that, and what I hear from them is that they're hoping that either their children or in some cases their grandchildren will experience that same, for lack of a better word, magic that they experienced as a child, those same memories that they had as a child. And when we get to speaking a little bit, it's interesting how sure things have changed, but in many ways they're really very, very similar. It's continuity and it's change at the same time. But the core is ultimately the continuity. And then when I use the word traditional, what I mean by that is that's the model of our camp program, meaning that we're not a specialty camp. We're not focused on any particular activity, whether it's baseball or soccer or some sort of arts program. We try to offer all those things under our umbrella. So children swim twice a day. The morning period is instructional swim. We have the afternoon is kind of just having fun in the water, recreational. We have a beautiful swim complex with three large pools. And the rest of the day is kind of devoted to different activities, many that you would imagine that you're going to see at many, many day camps, ranging from different kinds of sports programs. So that could include baseball, soccer, volleyball, football. We have archery. We have boating. We have the last couple of summers, we've had jujitsu, yoga. We really try to expose the kids to a lot of different things. And then, of course, we have what I like to refer to as more cultural kinds of programs. So arts and crafts and music, fun science. We bring a gentleman in every week who actually comes with animals. And in a very engaging and fun kind of way, he teaches the kids about animals. The older children, to kind of spice up the program for them as well, once they hit fourth grade, they go on trips once a week. We also have weekly shows that we bring in for the kids. So there's a whole industry of camp shows, which I'm sure my friends here on the call, I'm sure they do something similar. So you bring in magicians and entertainers and those kinds of things. Kind of the goal is that you want every day, right? Every day you want to be the best day of camp. That's kind of the aspiration that you're shooting for. I'm just trying to anticipate some of the questions that you would ask Tim. So we start as early as 2 3/4, and it goes up through 10th grade. Children, campers entering 10th grade can participate in what we call CIT program, which is counselor in training, and then they kind of become counselors. And I think that's a nice feature of our camp, that many of our staff are kids who went to the camp and they just want to continue on and be part of the camp and give back to what, I don't know if they're doing it consciously, but I feel like that's part of it. They want to give back to these children what was given to them when they were children. Aww. So that's a quick overview of our camp.
And tell me about the sessions. Can you come for a week or 4 weeks or 6 weeks? What are the options for parents?
Right. So we have an 8-week season, and we have a week model, like weeks. So we have a 4-week minimum, but we have flexibility within that. So parents can come any 4 weeks of the summer that works for their schedule. That's ultimately what it comes down to. Yeah.
Great. And what are the hours of the camp? I don't know. Oh, yeah, Tim did share that.
Yeah. So drop off in the morning is usually a 45-minute window. So that's about 7:45 in the morning till about 8:30 in the morning. That's the window to drop off. And then dismissal begins about 3:40, and it goes to a little bit after 4. We also offer extended hours. So some families require extended hours. They may need to go to work early or for whatever reason. So we have an early drop off as early as 7, and we have a late pickup, a late dismissal as late as 7. The only other thing I'll mention is there's a fee involved. It's not free, but we do offer transportation.
Oh, okay.
Well, anywhere on Staten Island, not off Staten Island, only on Staten Island.
And where on Staten Island are you located?
Right. So we're central Staten Island. A good kind of landmark is either our JCC building. It's not the building, it's a campground, but we're close to that. The other big landmark is we're directly across the street from Susan Wagner High School. So it's kind of a lush campground with, I think I had mentioned, we have a beautiful pool complex. We have a boating pond. We have an outdoor theater. We have ball fields. We have hiking trails. So it's on Manor Road.
Fantastic. Sounds like a wonderland.
Thanks.
Thank you, Glenn. So Chris, tell me what makes your camp, Young People's Day Camp, so unique?
Young People's Day Camp has, we're actually celebrating our 50th anniversary this summer. And we are traditional much in the sense as the JCC is. However, the unique thing about our camp is we take our campers off campus about 80% of the time in order for them to experience as much as they can. So our program, we take campers starting at 3 years old, and we keep them through 8th grade, and we offer a CIT training, counselor and training program starting when they are in 9th grade. I've been with the camp myself since I'm 16 years old as a junior counselor. And
Wow.
Now I never went to camp, but staying with an organization for over 20 years and now owning a piece of it it says a lot about the continuity of the organization and the people that you surround yourself with and that I was surrounded with.
And it keeps you looking young. My God, you don't.
Thank you.
16 yourself.
Thank you. Our programs range from 2 to 8 weeks, and we're also unique in the sense that we offer 3, 4, and 5-day programs because we know not every family needs a full week program. Sometimes they like the longer weekends, off from work a day or two during the week. They want to spend it with the kids. So we really do our best to cater to the family's needs. Part of that is we offer free door-to-door transportation all over Staten Island. And we also offer free extended hours as well. We open at 7 a.m. for early drop-off, and we are open until 6 p.m. for late pickup. A lot of our families come from the city, and the busing time, and it just doesn't always work for everybody. So we try to be as accommodating as we can be.
Mm-hmm.
We operate mainly out of the Elks Lodge on Richmond Avenue in the Eltingville section of Staten Island. But as I said earlier, the majority of our activities are off campus. So we do go off campus with our own fleet of buses every day.
So
And
where do you go? Where do you go?
We experience a lot of the traditional things that you would see in a regular day camp, a lot of different sporting activities. We do swim twice a week. We rent out a private swim club, and we swim in the first half of the day twice a week. We do sprinkler parks. We have big trips every week, and we also have smaller trips. Some of the smaller trips that we go on are roller skating trips, movie trips, bowling, things like the trampoline park. And we do some larger trips as well, like I Play America, the Medieval Times. We just struck up a deal with the Somerset Patriots for the summer. And then we bring in a lot of entertainment as well. Last year, we had the Harlem Wizards come in and embarrass our counselors for an hour. We work with the same animal expert as the JCC, Brian's Wild Side Zoo, and he's incredible. I had him for my kid's birthday party after. So he's that kind of guy. And we do as much for the kids as we can to really make it the best summer they can imagine. We had about 45 families sign up at the end of last summer for 2022. So we try to create a family atmosphere, and my motto is I treat all of their children like I treat my own children, and my own children in camp. So I want them to enjoy it as much as everybody else.
Wonderful. That's wonderful. So I hate to bring up the elephant in the room, but it's always the elephant in the room these days is COVID. So I just want to quickly speak to each of you, and Chris, since we're talking already, we'll start with you. Just how you're mitigating the risk of COVID, what you anticipate for 2022. Obviously, things can always change, but what your plans are just to keep the kids safe.
Anticipation is hard because New York City changes so frequently with what they're saying, but we take every precaution that the Department of Health tells us to take. Masking on bus, temperature checks when needed if a child isn't feeling well. We have an isolation room, frequent hand washing. We give each of our campers and counselors portable hand sanitizers. We split our groups by age and gender, so we don't have one large cohort. We have cohorts of 10 to 12 campers to minimize any exposure should, knock on wood, there be a COVID case. And then we notify everybody immediately. Unfortunately, last year we had one counselor come down with COVID. We were on the phone till 10 o'clock at night, just making sure everybody was okay and letting all the families know. And then we offer, if there is a case like that, we do offer refunds for it or credits. So we don't want them to miss out on that experience. But every precaution the city gives us, we take and we follow.
Fantastic. Thank you for that. Glenn, can you share what your COVID protocols are?
Yeah, sure. Well, I guess I can tell you what we've done the last 2 summers, and then it's very challenging to anticipate because I've been made a fool of already a few times thinking things were going to be a certain way and they really weren't. So I don't want to divine what the future is going to look like. But we, like Chris had said, we do pay attention to what the Department of Health and the CDC was recommending, and we try to follow those protocols. So the initially, we've never had a mask requirement for the children. It's been optional. We've never discouraged it, but we've never had it. And remember, we're an outdoor camp, so we've never had that as a requirement. Our first summer, we did require our staff to wear masks. Last summer, we evolved to vaccinated staff did not need to wear masks and children didn't need to wear masks. And now for this coming summer, we've made the decision that in order to work at our camp, you'll have to be vaccinated. That's kind of the policy that it was tell you the truth, it was beyond me. It was more of an agency decision, but I certainly support it. With respect to children, there's no vaccination requirement. And the way that we, I think, use the word mitigating the risk. So what we've done the last 2 summers is, camps have groups. So we basically set up groups of 12 to 15 children. And within those groups, children were functioning normally. And when I say normally, I mean like pre-COVID. There was no distancing, nothing like that. Within groups, though, so in other words, not within groups, but between groups, maybe that's the way I should put it to make it more understandable. Between groups, there was separation between the groups. There was a requirement that Group A and Group B had more or less socially distanced from each other. Not going to lie, it's not the easiest thing to do because it's not a natural human instinct for people not to kind of approach each other. I struggle with it all the time myself. And I'm not going to lie, it's not a culture where police officers, and we were yelling at the children, but that was the model that we adhered to. And, like Chris said, we had also a lot of extra stations set up for washing hands built into the daily schedule. Children were required to wash their hands, things like that. So that's kind of the basic model that we've been adhering to the last 2 summers. And I don't know what's going to be this coming summer. Hopefully it'll be a little less restrictive.
Yes, for sure. For sure. Thank you for that, Glenn. Tim, what about at Halfblood?
Very similar story. We definitely had to modify programming to ensure that our camper groups, which numbered, around 10 to 12, shifted their activities to really stay within their pod, just so we could mitigate any potential spread. Extra PPE on site, regular cleaning intervals for all of our materials, especially shared materials. We had a health pre-screening form that all campers and their parents needed to fill out, especially noting if they had done any travel in the past week. Similar story, not a requirement, but encouraged all staff to get vaccinated and gave them the option that if they did not want to get vaccinated, they would have to test weekly and produce a negative COVID test. So all those things combined, and thankfully, we operated for the last 2 summers, no case of COVID amongst our kids, no case resulting from us at camp. And even when there were slight scares, in an example, a sibling of one of our campers tested positive for COVID, we would just have that pod hold on for a few days until they could all get tested, and then they could return to camp. And in the event where somebody maybe, that didn't work for them, obviously offer refunds in the form of credits for next summer. So similar story, combination of everything, and definitely working to make sure that those groups stay together. As for the upcoming summer, who can say? Hope with the current vaccination rates that we can return to, something like a summer in 2019.
Absolutely. We are certainly all hoping for that, but it's good to have important things in place to keep the children safe if anything should change. So that's wonderful to know. So the next thing I'd love to ask, and I love this part, is I want you to share with me, thinking about your camp, about an activity that you love, that is one of your favorites. You love to watch the kids participate in, maybe you even enjoy it. I love to hear that from your experience, because obviously the three of you are in there day to day and involved with what happens. So Glenn, can you kick it off with us for sharing with us about one of your favorite activities?
Yeah, I think it's any time when a large group of kids are together, sort of united in some activity. So two examples come to mind. We do something we call them Maccabi games, but it's more popularly known as like color war. So it's when different colors different teams have different colors and they compete against each other. Sometimes it gets a little bit too competitive, but the positive side of it is the connectivity and the enthusiasm and the spirit that you feel, and that's always the highlight of camp. We also, because we are a Jewish camp, we do on Fridays have what we call it a Shabbat program. By the way, we have many families of other faiths who come to the camp, so it's not exclusively to Jewish families. And in all the years I've been involved, and I've been involved for many years, never had a problem. In fact, my experience has been that families of other faiths appreciate kind of the learning about other culture, if you will. But we on the Fridays we do something. There's singing that the children are doing together. There are weekly awards that are given out. It's kind of like it's a little bit more of a pause from the hustle and bustle of camp. And, I'll use the word even spiritual. It might even have like a little bit of a spiritual dimension. So to me, those are the highlights of camp for me when I see that. Community, I guess that's the word.
Wonderful. That is very special. Tim, can you share with me about some of your favorite things to witness and take part at camp?
Oh yeah, I have two. I hope that's not cheating, but our Quest adventures for sure. When you get to see the culmination of all these breadcrumbs, so to speak, that we've been dropping, and the story, really becomes real in front of the kids. It's really fun, and a lot of our younger kids really have that youthful, buy-in where they can suspend their disbelief, and the monsters are real. They are demigods themselves. They have magic powers, and then to see that level of bravery too, because it is quite jarring, especially when they have to, physically defend themselves against monsters with their foam swords, and to see them, build up that courage, watch them succeed, or maybe work together to solve like a really tricky puzzle or like a low ropes course that we set up and have some magical enchantment around it. That's always really fun to see. And actually, this last summer, I was in San Francisco leading a program on the grounds for our first year there. And as part of our curriculum, we also build armor and shields out of cardboard and decorate them with duct tape. And they have like symbols for whichever god or goddess the kids really gravitate towards. And I had the idea as part of our Olympic ceremonies, because these kids really, they dug in with their crafting skills. I had them have a fashion show as part of their Olympics at the end of the week to showcase all the different things that they made. And then we ended that with a nice like dance party, which was really, really fun. So that definitely sticks out.
Wonderful. That sounds great. Chris, share with me some of your favorite activities.
Liz, this was the toughest question on the panel, actually. There's not a lot that I think my colleagues would agree that we don't enjoy. We're hands-on people. I love to get my hands dirty. Last summer, for example, the kids had me in the dunk tank, and it was cold, and but just to watch them enjoy dunking me for an hour was well worth it. Every year we do a farewell show, and we rent out a facility for an evening. The kids put on their performance for the summer, and we had about 500 people there last summer, and just being able to talk to all the families individually for a little bit before and during the show, it was that was definitely my favorite part of last summer. So they told me how much they enjoyed everything, and how happy they were that their kids had such a great time.
That is absolutely wonderful. Thank you for that. We had a good question that came in from Joan, and she said, I've never been to camp. And so I don't really know what a typical day is. So I thought it would be great for each one of you just to quickly go through kind of what a typical day is at your camp. Chris, why don't you get started?
Sure. Well, we have arrival between 7 and 9, between early drop-offs and busing. Then we'll kick off our day. Kids during that time will eat their breakfast from home. They'll do seated games. Then we'll kick off our day when the last bus pulls in with our morning announcements. That gives me some time to talk to the kids and tell them about the day's activities. Also gives the counselors time to take attendance accurately, because that's extremely important. After that, we gear our program where if it's something that the kids are interested in, our counselors will provide it, whether it's basketball, football, kickball, arts and crafts, lanyards, anything that our kids may be interested, we provide. And then we'll do our day's activity, whether it's a trip to the bowling alley or a baseball game, movies, or we have entertainment coming in. And then in between there, we have time for snack and lunch, but that we kind of go with the flow with snack time. When the kids get hungry, the group will sit down and snack. By 2:00, the kids are pretty shot. We're on our way back to camp, and we wind down our day very similarly to how we start. We let the kids sit and do seated games, light sports activities. We do afternoon announcements. Fridays, we do awards. Then we start our busing at around 3:15, and we dismiss at 3:30, and then we have our late staff there until 6 p.m. with the kids.
Nice. And then people fall asleep on the car ride home.
Yep.
After a busy day, right? I've taken a half asleep child off a bus many times. Thank you. Glenn, can you walk us through a day at the JCC?
Sure. So there's some similarities to what Chris is describing, that there is a structure to the day and the week. The children arrive, I think I mentioned earlier, up until about 8:30, and then shortly thereafter, they start their programmatic day. So the day is divided into 9 periods, and they're approximately 35 minutes each. And each period is one of these different activities that I described earlier. So it depends on the group. Not everybody does the same thing at the same time, because it's a large enough camp that we wouldn't be able to do that. But they'll swim twice a day. So in the morning, they'll have an instructional period. In the afternoon, they'll have a free swim period. And then throughout the day, they'll participate in the activities that I mentioned earlier. So woodworking, arts and crafts, baseball, soccer, volleyball, fun with animals, science, things like that. It kind of fills in the day. And then, every day has a little bit of a wrinkle. So there could be, like I had mentioned again earlier, there might be a show that day. There might be a special event, for example, to celebrate July 4th, and so on and so forth. Some of the older children, in our camp, it's once they hit going into 4th grade, 1 day a week, they'll go on a trip. So they may have that as a kind of, change for them. And then, at the end of the day, where it's 3:30 or so, and that's when we go in, we shift into dismissal mode, and we go from there.
Fantastic. Tim, can you walk us through a day at Camp Halfblood?
Sure. Yeah. Every day we'll have a sort of different emphasis across the week, but they follow a standard structure. After or during drop off, that's really an opportunity for parents to interact with the counselors, make sure the counselors are paying, taking down proper attendance, just like you said. And once they clear out, kick off with those morning announcements. Then every day starts with sword circle. That's the time for our groups, which are called hometowns, named after ancient mythological or historical city states. So we have like Athens and Sparta and Thebes. they get to really, chant for their champions, do some battles. And then we'll go into our activities, which just like a lot of other camps, because of the size of our program, those are varied. So they're activity blocks. Could be dodgeball, could be stealth games, but every activity has a sort of story component driving it. So our games are usually named after moments from mythological stories. One of my favorites is a stealth game called Medusa's Garden, which is basically a variation of red light, green light, but the emphasis and the counselor who is playing Medusa, will like play it up. And there's a moment before there to tell the story of Medusa and Perseus. So a mix of those. We have 2 snack periods a day. We also have lunch right at the middle of the day. For those, some more passive activities, whether it's like read alouds or draw or create a comic of your favorite moment of the day. Afternoons, we'll go back into specialty classes, which are, maybe you want to drill down on potion making, maybe you want to dedicate some time for specific crafts. Making, like ancient Norse runes, that sort of thing. And usually we end our days with a kind of variation of Dungeons and Dragons that we've created. It's like a pen and paper role-playing game for the kids that they really like. And we call that Mytho. And then dismissal. But the only variation is that on a quest day, which usually later on in the week, that is all out the window and you're outdoor, like you're in the park adventuring. There's no really set schedule. It's almost like this gigantic scavenger hunt with all these missions all over the map, so to speak. And even lunchtime, we might drop something special on the kids. Like we've had villains come in and steal our, snack stores and run away, and the kids all go crazy, and we have to recover that because they really, really like their snacks. But those usually end in some sort of big final battle, which are really, really, really fun, where we've got, 50 kids and, 10 of our monsters and villains, and they all get to have at each other.
Nice. Well, it sounds like everyone has a great day at these camps for sure, from beginning to end. We have some questions I'd love to jump over to from our attendees. So Reza wanted to know, do campers walk with their own breakfast, lunch, and snacks? I think what she's asking is, do they have to bring their own breakfast, lunch, and snacks, or are those provided by the camp? Chris, I see you're not muted. You want to answer that?
Sure. So we have deals with vendors to purchase lunch through them. You need separate food licenses in New York City if you're going to make lunch on grounds. Kids do bring their own snacks and breakfast, though. We do provide water bottles and refillable water for the kids throughout the day.
Great. Glenn, how do you handle food?
So snacks are included. We have snacks throughout the day for the kids as needed. Lunch it's kind of a hybrid. So we have refrigerators. So I would say the majority of our families send their children with cold lunches, and we refrigerate them. And then when it's lunch period, they come out. We also subcontract with a caterer to offer a lunch program. It's a fee for service, so it's not included in the camp fee. And I would say they're kind of kid-friendly foods: pizza, chicken nuggets, things like that, French toast sticks, etc. So you could choose either or you could even do like a little bit of a hybrid. You could, if you're a vegetarian, you could do the pizza day and not the hamburger day. So that's kind of how we do it. And we have water coolers throughout the campgrounds. And as my colleagues I'm sure they're reminding the kids to to stay hydrated and drink all day, that kind of thing.
Perfect. Tim, how does Camp Halfblood deal with food?
Yeah, we provide snacks to the kids, 2 dedicated snack periods. We ask that parents pack bag lunch. If it has perishables, put it in some sort of insulated container. And we have, dedicated bins where the campers store all their belongings. So yeah.
Great. So Maria has a question. What do the camps do when the temperature outside in the summer is dangerously hot? And then also, I think you can answer too, what do you do on those days? Probably very similar, where it's a rainy day. Tim, you want to start that off? answer?
Or yeah, in our locations where we have access, on a hot day to any sort of sprinkler or water activities, we'll definitely gravitate towards that. Also try to combine as much of our high intensity physical activities in the morning, and then as the sun arcs across the sky and the day heats up, switch over to passive activities in the shade if we can manage it. If it's really so hot that it is, health concern, we have an indoor location which we also will use for inclement weather. In those cases, we shift our programming to more passive activities. We'll do longer versions of that Dungeons and Dragons esque game that we call Mytho, and other reading, storytelling based activities, depending on the access and facilities that we have for our space, which does change year to year. Maybe if we have a stage space, we'll emphasize performance. If we have athletic facilities, we'll continue to do as much of our normal athletic programming as possible.
Great. Chris, how do you deal with the heat and the?
We're lucky enough to have an indoor facility on our grounds. So we have a temporary indoor space where if it's raining badly, we bring the kids inside until we're able to organize a off-campus activity. We also have tented areas outside that help us from the heat in the morning. As Tim said, as the sun arcs across the sky, the temperature does rise. But normally by 10 a.m., we're able to get into Showplace Bowling or Roller Jam. We have really good relationships with the owners there. And I get on the phone with them first thing in the morning when there's excessive heat or rain forecasted to organize something safe. And the kids love those days because they get to be inside, eat pizza, and bowl.
Nice. Len, what about at the JCC?
Yeah, so with the heat and the rain, we really have the same approach. We're an outdoor camp, so we stay outdoors. It's a very, very lush campground. So there's a lot of coverings there, a lot of high trees. We have outdoor shelters that we use. So they're buildings, but they're open air. So if it starts to rain, the children will go under there. Typically, the rain doesn't last very long, and then we'll go back to our activities. And kind of as Tim was saying, with respect to if it's a very, very hot day, which you inevitably get any summer, then we will moderate our programming for the day. So there'll be a greater emphasis on more sedentary activities, and also like he had said, to try to increase water-based activities. So the twice swimming remains, but things like sprinklers and games that include water are sort of integrated into the daily program.
They got it covered. These camps have it covered. It could be hot, it could be raining, it could be sunny, whatever it is, your kids are going to have a good time. They have it all covered. That's wonderful. So I did share all of your contact information in the chat. I also am going to share it with an email tomorrow. But before we say goodbye, I'd love just to go to each one of you and have you share with us, if a parent is interested, what are their next steps? Glenn, you want to kick us off?
Yeah, so if they have more interest, but they're still unsure, one good thing to do would be to visit our camp website. We put a lot of effort into that, so you can learn a lot about our camp by visiting the website. After you do that, you'll find my contact information there. I'm always happy to speak to interested parents, soft sell. I don't really push. And if you wanted to take a tour of the campgrounds, I'm happy to do that as well. So I guess those would be the next steps.
Great. And the website is at sijcc.
It's actually camp. Yeah, it's camp.sijcc.org.
I'm putting it in the chat. So it's camp.sijcc.org.
Yes.
Right? Okay, perfect. I'm going to put that in the chat, and we'll share that with everybody tomorrow via email as well. Tim, what are the next steps for parents if they're interested in Camp Halfblood?
Yeah, our website is obviously a great resource. That's Camp Halfblood, BKLYN.com. The reason Brooklyn is in there is that's our first location that was founded a little over a decade ago, but we're all over New York City and a couple other places now. On there, you can see this great video that really shows the kind of energy that you can expect from camp. If you want to get a more detailed breakdown of activities, you can look around. We've got an activities page as well as a contact page if you want to send us an email or call in if you have questions. Alona is our sort of customer service representative. She'll be more than happy to take care of you and walk you through any questions you might have. And then for other media and outlets, you can check out our Facebook page or our Instagram page if you want to just see some still images. A quick Camp Halfblood Brooklyn will, in the search bar, will find you our stuff for sure. And those have a little bit more everyday photos at camp, just so you can see the kind of communities and all the different locations that we're in.
Terrific. Chris?
The website is definitely the way to go to check out and get the most information quickly. We have a tentative calendar available for families that are interested. We're not a small camp, but we're mom and pop in the sense that parents could contact me directly via call, text, or email. And we're very quick to respond and get back to you, and I'm more than happy to answer any questions, help you out with any concerns you have about choosing the right camp.
Fantastic. Again, I put all that in the chat, the contact information, the websites. You will get it via email tomorrow. Again, this has been recorded, so you'll get the link to that too. You can watch it again and share it. I want to thank our panelists so very much for being with us today and sharing with us about your incredible camps. Glenn from the Staten Island JCC, Tim from Camp Halfblood, and Chris from Young People's Day Camps. Really, thank you. Thank you. You really painted a wonderful picture for some fabulous options for parents. And parents, thank you for joining us today on this webinar. I hope that you found a camp today that really will serve your children well this summer. And we've made your search all that easy, much easier. So keep an eye out for our emails. Thanks for joining us, everyone. And I wish you all to stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll look forward to seeing you on a future webinar. Have a great day, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you. You too.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.